So there's a display for Snoop's wine in Peachtree City, Georgia. It's a picture of him. It's a cardboard cutout with him basically going like this. It's, life size. And the wine is called 19 𝐀𝐿𝐎.
Yeah.
Which I haven't heard about, so I don't know if it's good or not. I can't speak on that part.
He's just one of the faces for 19 Crimes.
Cool. And then, but for the display, it's for Black History Month. And people in the locals in the city were very upset because there was a chalkboard to the side of this display that had, and I'm going to read what I pulled from the article. There's a blackboard next to it that says celebrating Black History Month. That's what's written on the blackboard. And then there's a drawn clenched fist that says dream like Martin. And it says, on the other one, it says, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, next to the wine.
Mm-hmm.
People are upset about this. Is this much to do about nothing, man? Because it's the 19 Crimes, the Black History chalkboard, Black History Month. Mad people were offended.
19 Crimes is a brand for one.
No, I feel
Yeah, and I've seen it. It's in our local.
Martha
grocery
Stewart
store.
has a 19 Crimes wine.
Right.
I don't think
Snoop has had this for years at this point, though.
he has had it. I have a bottle at home that I haven't even drank, but it's sitting there.
No, it's good. Actually, as wine goes, it's all right.
What about the chalkboard?
Look, man, let me tell you something. They are literally passing legislation to take books about Jackie Robinson and Rosa Parks out of our schools.
Hank Aaron.
Hank Aaron.
Damn.
I saw something in Jackson, Mississippi, to where the statewide General Assembly has decided that they want to take over the court system in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the people in Jackson will have no voting rights because the judges are elected. Now they're going to be appointed by an all-white state council.
Mm-hmm.
So now the people we have such bigger fish to fry as far as racism and talking about what's going on. Look, is this was this bad judgment by somebody who, but as far as things that I need to be worried about, no, I do not care.
Kroger says Kroger is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in all we do. Our intentions are never meant to be offensive.
But there's nothing offensive about this.
If they're going to have, I'm glad. Look, this means this is somebody who is going to get, Snoop is getting paid off of this. And you don't know who's working behind the scenes in the creative space for this. And I see that now there are a lot of places that carry Uncle Nearest, which is, basically the dude that told Jack Daniels how to make his product. And now if they want to say, hey, acknowledge Black history with Uncle Nearest, and this is the man who taught Jack Daniels, I'm not going to get mad at that. I know maybe it's not the same as acknowledging Paul Robeson or anything like that. But I'm sorry, man. We've got real problems in America as far as Black people are concerned. This is not something that I have the energy to be upset about.
No, so I'm going to put it in better context now that I've pulled up this picture. So the 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg display actually has nothing to do with Black History Month. The people at this particular Kroger decided to write a chalkboard next to it that says celebrating Black History Month and drew a fist, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, celebrating whatever. So this has nothing to do with 19 Crimes.
Yeah, nothing to do with 19 Crimes or Snoop.
You can't put it on Snoop.
That's what they're trying to do.
Or even the company for having this there because somebody from Kroger did this. Now, you should be mad at Kroger because they could have, with it being Black History Month, they could have placed it anywhere in the store versus placing it right next to the night. I mean, it still doesn't make sense to sit it right next to that if it has nothing to do with it. That's why I wanted to see the picture of it because it's obviously something that somebody drew.
Yep.
And they just set the chalkboard right by the 19 Crimes display. So I think that's kind of fluffery, but that goes to Kroger's management. That doesn't even go to Kroger as a whole because it's only that particular store.
And it says two people that were asked about it says it just felt like it was offensive. Another person said
it was distasteful.
Who are these two people?
Just patrons that were at the store.
People want to be on the news.
Well, that too.
I don't know. I mean, I don't understand. What is offensive?
It's in poor taste, but I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it made sense for them to sit it right next to that.
I don't think
anything.
I don't think it should be right that close to it either.
This is how far I don't understand. Are these Black people that are upset or white people that are upset?
The two people I saw were Black.
Yeah, it's probably. I was about to say that.
So it's Black people that are upset that they decided to set this next to a display of Snoop. particularly in there,
Here's a gentleman.
as opposed to white people that are upset that there's any mentioning of
Black History
Month. That's what I'm trying to.
The gentleman said, proud of drinking wine, ? No, we're proud of the Tuskegee Airman whose shoulders I stand on. He was a former pilot.
Jesus turned water into wine, so I'm proud to drink wine.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not trying to be funny, but like, well, yeah.
My man was offended, though.
But
Yeah.
the Tuskegee Airmen don't have any products in Kroger.
Don't do.
No, I'm dead serious.
Don't do that.
Like, don't bring up the Tuskegee Airmen. What, you
I mean,
know,
the brother was a former pilot. That's all he was saying. He's saying
That was in poor taste. They could have put that sign in the vestibule.
That's all I'm saying.
Store. That was just. I don't know.
I don't agree with
the oversight, and somebody probably just shouldn't have did it.
Look,
I'm personally not going to take offense to it if I see it.
Yeah,
but I do believe that's probably in.
If they'd have put it next to the watermelons or the rotisserie chicken, I might have had something to say.
That would have been the same type of thing that happened at the Children's Museum last year when they had the watermelon salad during Black History Month. We ain't forget.
Yeah,
talk to them. Tell them now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, their response was essentially, I mean, you know, we're black and we like watermelon.
Nah, their response was foolish.
Yeah,
if you remember, because they said they had a whole committee.
Thanks.
I said it on purpose. They said they had a committee that was diverse, and then when they showed the committee, it was like, okay, you lied about that too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So it was upset, man. They said proud to be pulling
I was
alcohol.
joking because there were people that were trolling behind. I was like, I don't know. I kind of like the fact that there's watermelon on it. But,
no, I'm with Terry though, man. Don't try to put it on, associated with Snoop or whatever. This was an error on the grocery store. Long, you still.
How do I get on?
You still ain't quite there with me.
The reason why I'm not there is just look. I'm not black, so it doesn't really affect me, right?
Gotcha.
In that manner, but. Just from like to Jay's point, like from a scale standpoint, like there are actual things that matter
way more than
and not somebody that made a bad decision to write on a chalkboard.
Yeah,
and it was in poor taste, but with good intention, probably. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I just saw something where they're trying to make sure that they take all voting sites off of college campuses in Texas. Especially the HBCUs.
Really,
it's like they're literally trying to get Jim Crow 2.0 or 3.0, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah,
on and popping. I don't have time for you to be upset about. I'm sorry. Maybe this probably comes from a good place for this individual, but I just don't have time. We are in. America is on the brink. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
They like you look at who they the Marjorie Taylor Greens and these people, and they are serious, and they are pointing to high level membership committees in Congress.
It's almost amazing how far she's come.
Because
she's an absolute idiot.
Because I thought, okay, they were definitely not going to elect her to another term, but I was like, she must, she must have a bunch of terrible people in her congressional district that really love her. So I was like, okay, maybe, but they don't push her off to the fringes. They give her leadership positions,
wild.
And then what's his name, George Santos or whatever his real name really is, like. This is what's going on in the world, y'all, and these are the people who make the decisions about things that affect everybody.
That's a
and
good
they're
point.
laughing when you pay attention to this type of stuff.
And then you got everybody's like, oh, because now they've turned, the idea of being woke into a full on slur.
Yeah, woke is.
First
it's
of all,
not even woke anymore. It's almost played out because
first of all, woke
people
is,
took it and ran with it and ran into the dirt. Now it doesn't even mean what
woke is how you say the N word on TV. That is how certain.
No, there's
people,
another word for that. It's thug.
Oh no, they've got several words for it.
Well, we call these dog whistles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
There's
whenever it says we're not going to take this woke agenda and we're going to make sure we get this book about Rosa Parks out of your children's school, it was like, all right, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Long said Hank Aaron. Well, that's tough.
That's
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 DeSantos
specifically.
Yeah, because I talked.
tough.
No, it really is a thing, and the thing is, I talked to. Actually, it was a back and forth that I had.
Was there a reasoning behind it?
With Mr. Yeah, because he's black. With Mr. 𝐀𝐁𝐿, and I remember a couple years ago when Hank Aaron passed away.
Yeah.
They talked about the strength and resilience of Hank Aaron, and first of all, the strength and resilience in the face of what? Is that, it's not so much, yes, he was a great baseball player, but we talk about his strength and resilience because we can't just say those things. We have to talk about it because we have to talk about how terrible white people were.
That's a good point.
So that's why they don't want their kids to see books about Hank Aaron.
It's a whole bunch of white fragility is really what it is. It's a whole bunch of white people that are just so afraid of their white kids learning about stuff that actually happened and their feelings getting hurt, as opposed to learning about what actually happened so that potentially they could be educated on it and maybe they don't repeat the same thing. It's a whole bunch of white nonsense.
Well, you know what?
Do you think there's you just said it, but
they're doing the same thing with the LGBT stuff as well. You know, like
I tell you what,
there's
nobody
2 dogs that are male, and it's like,
look, nobody ever thought about black children's feelings when they had to go to schools that were named after Confederate generals. So, but now we want to tell white kids the truth about how
Thomas Jefferson had slaves.
The reason, the reason Milwaukee lost the Braves is because part of it was because they had a segregated stadium. That's how the Braves got to Atlanta. So they, how messed up it is. You got to leave Milwaukee to go to Atlanta to find a better racial situation.
True.
Down south to find a better situation.
So because a lot of times white people from up the north, if you will, think, oh, we're not like that. And I was like, actually you are.
Lone, you dropped a bar too, because I just thought about what you said and parents being afraid to have actual conversations about history and things that actually happened because of their ego, or they don't want their children to hear about certain things. It's crazy.
It's literally,
but it's true. That's what's happening.
It's true fragility, and it's also it's a mixture of just straight ignorance of not even believing a lot of the stuff too. If think about it, if you're a white person and you think that race relations in this country are blown out of proportion and everything's better because we had a black president, and you're not a racist as long as you don't say the N-word, and that's the end of it.
Right.
What else is there to do? Why do we have to keep talking about it? Right. And so it's deep level rooted ignorance, and that's where the privilege element comes in, because white people in general, we have the ability to just ignore this stuff if we want to, or we have for a very, very long time, we've been able to just ignore it because social media wasn't really in the way, and media was controlled by mostly white entities. So,
true.
But now that social media is out here, the woke culture, or people that actually know how to read and actually do read, are like, oh wow, this is really something that happened. Like, sure, let's talk about it. And that's it's just white feelings, man.
But notice how the people who are so against teaching American history the way that happened, or and they'll call it critical race theory. Yeah. And even though no one is taught in critical race theory,
because if they actually read, they would know that it's not critical race theory.
Yeah, because you always tell people say, "Oh, I just don't want critical race theory." What is critical race theory, sir? And they're just they don't have a solid answer.
That's just running off the rhetoric that's spewed on Fox News.
Exactly. And then this is the thing. Okay, say you don't want to talk about slavery and the things that happened in the past, but you don't want to take down the Confederate statues. How are you? So it's like you can't have it both ways, because it's like, oh, you don't want to talk about who this person really is and what they stood for.
It's just, you just want revisionism. Let's just keep it at that.
Like, let's just keep it real. Like, okay, I will stop talking about slavery as soon as we take down all of the Confederate statues. How about that?
And I would still say no.
I'd still say no, because first of all, look, there are Confederate monuments in Arizona. Arizona wasn't even a state in the Union during the Civil War. A lot of these.
That's a bar right there.
You got to understand, most of the Confederate monuments that were built during the Civil Rights era.
True.
They were built as symbols of intimidation to black people who wanted to do crazy things like vote and have equal schools and be able to drink out of water fountains. That was a reaction to that.
No, it's heritage.
Oh yeah, it's heritage, not hate.
That's the word, huh?
That's always the line. It's heritage, not
right.
hate.
But here's the bar. It is heritage and it is hate. It's both.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, that's where it comes from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's not you can't cop out something and just say it's heritage.
I would just say, yeah, it is heritage.
It is your heritage.
It's the heritage of white supramacy and racism.
A lot of them, it wasn't their heritage, though. It's just the heritage that they decided to take on.
Well,
it's just like
different.
That's fair.
And we'll just put it out there. People like Kid Rock and Ted Nugent. That is the heritage that they've decided, even though they're from basically 2 blocks away from Canada, they want to adopt Southern heritage because, hey, that's how we really feel.
That's where your fan base is.
Mm-hmm.
That part.